The UFL of 2024 and 2025 is officially what sounds to be dead. So, not that the league is going away, but what you knew about the merger in 2024 and 2025 season last year and this year is completely being scrapped. So, we've got more information, and more will come out tomorrow, and we'll keep an eye on it. James Larson said, sadly, news got out before I could put together a full, legitimate piece on everything going on. But there's a lot going on in the world of the UFL right now. Stay tuned. Some big pieces coming tomorrow on what's all happening behind the scenes. Will be full of information that I've gathered over the past month on the future of the league, James Larson reports on X. Now, the big thing is here, and this is where I wanted to come back on here and talk about this, because I think this is pretty big, and it goes back to a video I posted not long ago. I will put it up here on the screen about the Arlington Renegades, and when I'm trying to think what it was that led me to believe that the Arlington Renegades were changing their name. There was something indicating it. I'll put the video up here. You can click on. I talk about it. But James Larson's reporting some more changes coming to the UFL for 2026. The Arlington Renegades are likely being rebranded to the Texas Renegades or something along those lines. My guess is it is either Texas Renegades, which I had talked about, to kind of align with the Texas Rangers, or they were going back to the Dallas Renegades. That was kind of my overall guess there. I know a lot of people weren't happy about the Dallas part because it's in Arlington. I get it. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to complain. I get it. I've heard it. I've talked to many of people in Arlington. I get why that is. But anyways, the Texas Renegades, I kind of get. Obviously, San Antonio is still going to be a team, but it's just like the Texas Rangers having also the Houston Astros and whatever the case may be. Also, this is big news right here. Conference changes are on the way. The USFL-XFL brands are officially dead. He says, no surprise, the UFL announced a huge sell on merch today, which I talked about on that last video. These are two things that I have said in videos over the past month that I believed were going to be happening because of the fact that there was a lot of telltale signs coming out from the league that they were getting rid of the conference names. They were kind of easing away in 2025 from the USFL-XFL brands. I kind of knew that was coming. It was just too obvious with things that were pointed out during this season that they were not really representing XFL, USFL. You weren't hearing much about that. We got that clear and day out of the way. Some of you have commented on that last video of why don't they just go back to the XFL if they are basically killing off the USFL side of things. And now that James Larson's reporting that the USFL-XFL brands are officially dead, I don't disagree with that. I don't know why you would keep the UFL. I would rather, let me just put it this way. I'd rather them either have USFL or XFL as the actual name because people know those names. Anytime I've been in Vegas, walking around my own town here in Colorado that hasn't had a USFL team since the 80s, before I was born, people still talk about the XFL and USFL when I'm wearing jerseys, wearing merchandise, things like that. Same goes when I was in Vegas back over Memorial Day weekend wearing UFL stuff. People still thought it was the XFL. Again, not surprised here, but the fact is that they are getting rid of the brands. I talked about that also in videos that I thought that was happening, and people were like, there's no way. They're not doing that. They're keeping it. I was not surprised when I just read from what James Larson's reporting. I was not surprised when I read that because it's what I've been talking about since the since we went to the off season, and there's just some signs of it. As for the Arlington Renegades, I was not surprised that they're getting rid of the Renegades name. As far as what I remember, going back to the XFL event in 2022 that they held with Danny Garcia, Dwayne Johnson, Russ Brandon, all the coaches of the XFL as they were trying to head into the XFL 2023 season. And they had the Arlington mayor there as well. They had signed some kind of deal with the city of Arlington. And as far as I know, it was only a 3-year deal for the naming of Arlington. That's why they changed from Dallas to Arlington, was because of that. Now, to rebrand as Texas Renegades, again, it makes sense. The ownership group that owns Choctaw Stadium and stuff like that, and the parking lots around it are owned by the Texas Rangers MLB baseball team. And a lot of the marketing and promotions and stuff like that they've done are with the Rangers or whatnot. So this comes as no surprise, especially with the elimination of the Houston Roughnecks team and now getting down to just 2 Texas teams to be called the Texas Renegades. This is going to then basically potentially bring back more of that crowd that has been missing with the Arlington name that we know back in 2020 when I'd go to Dallas Renegades games. That stadium may have not been full because it is a former baseball stadium with Choctaw Stadium, but at that point, there was a huge drop-off in attendance in those comparisons when they changed to Arlington, and it's clear as day. I mean, 2023, 2024, and now 2025, I did a report video on this when we were going over attendance and stuff, that each year it kept dropping after they changed the name. And quite frankly, I think Texas Renegades could be something that essentially brings that back in. I think they could essentially drop the R, the Renegades logo, that R, and go right back to the Bandit, go back to what we know the Arlington Renegade, or sorry, the Dallas Renegades in 2020 were. I wouldn't even be surprised. I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction here. I would not be surprised if you go to Royal Retros, the jersey that I have, the retro remix jersey that is black and looks like basically a combination of the current UFL Arlington Renegade jersey and the 2020 XFL jerseys. I have a feeling they may go back to that, and we may be in for a complete 180 when it comes to branding of these teams, logos, potentially uniforms, things like that they may be moving towards something else. If they're rebranding and getting rid of Arlington, they're going to change the jerseys, and I think that's kind of the wording, at least on the jerseys. I would say that they'll probably rebrand Texas more so. For all we know, they could be the Texas Renegades and have something similar to what the Houston Roughnecks helmets were, with the Bandit logo just being in Texas colors. I'm just thinking on the fly here, because if they're going to try to match maybe potentially Texas Rangers, the Texas colors that the Houston Roughnecks kind of had with their helmet being the Texas flag, they could go in a route of this. I hope they don't completely get rid of the baby blue and kind of what had drawn me into being a Renegades fan when I first picked back in 2019 when the XFL announced it. But these are all possibilities that could be happening here, especially with the USFL-XFL brands officially being dead. The league, the UFL, being the UFL, if they keep that name, I assume they would, they have an opportunity to really focus more into the UFL branding and to basically, again, not bury, but basically retire the XFL, USFL names and really focus on their own league, being the United Football League. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this, and we will continue to stay on top of all the news dropping. And before I go, let me refresh one more time to James Larson's X account just to make sure nothing else has dropped, because again, things are coming quick. Let's see. No, nothing there. Nope, nothing at this point other than, again, there will be more information coming out tomorrow. Again, I'm not surprised by this and going from there, but who knows at this point. Someone is comment, are they still going to play in an empty baseball stadium, talking about the Choctaw? Honest to God, I could run this league better. I really do. I will 100% agree. I do think that the attendance is down because Arlington is not a big name. It just is not. Yes, the city is coming up. They've redone a lot of buildings in that direct area, but it still does not have the name of like Texas or Dallas. That is technically where the money was coming in, or like the fan base is showing up. There's been numerous articles in 2022 why the XFL was stupid to go with the Arlington name, even though I know they play in Arlington, but it's very interesting. It says people are just still commenting on how they think it's ridiculous that only USFL teams are doing this. Some people are saying they should move the Renegades to Toyota Stadium in Dallas. I'm trying to see. Toyota, I'm not 100% familiar with Toyota Stadium. I know it's a soccer field, but what's the capacity? Capacity is 20,500 and it's in Frisco. So, I mean, they technically could. It's a decent stadium looking at pictures and everything. I mean, that's a possibility because they could essentially build up that team to be a little more enclosed, but it would be weird if they leave Choctaw unless, again, the whole thing, I will note, the whole thing with Michigan Panthers is Ford Field did not renew their contract. I'm starting to hear some rumors, and we'll see what James Larson comes out with tomorrow. I am starting to hear some rumors that potentially a lot of venues have dropped their contracts with the UFL for upcoming seasons, and that could be the reason why we're starting to see this. That could also be a good reason why the Renegades are being rebranded Texas. They could move the Toyota. Now that I look at that stadium, that's a possibility, and it could actually work very, very well compared to Choctaw. Choctaw, I thought, was still a very nice stadium. It used to be Globe Life Stadium or Field. I don't know. I can't remember what they actually had. I know Globe Life is where the Rangers now play when they rebuilt it across the street. But I think they could really do well going somewhere else and kind of getting away from Choctaw at this point. But and that's the thing too with the UFL headquarters now being in that area, they could obviously move the Renegades like people into that office and not have them at Choctaw Stadium anymore. That's all a scenario. But again, let me just clearly put it out there that despite the fact there's a lot of changes going on, I just got my email 2 days ago to upgrade my tickets at Choctaw Stadium for the 2026 season. So if they were changing stadiums for 2026, you would think that they would have already they would have not put out the upgrade your season ticket thing if they knew they were leaving there. So I think they're pretty much staying at Choctaw, but the initial blow up of all this information coming out is a lot of people, USFL hardcore fans are pissed. They're leaving. I've seen the comments on my page. Here on the channel with the last video I posted. I get it. I completely understand. But again, wait and see. Let's see what happens here. Like, we know the USFL-XFL conference names are gone. But is that a reason to dip out on the league completely? Like, some of your fans, I know, I've seen a few like talking about, oh, no more Stallions, I'm out. And they don't even live in Birmingham or have never attended a game, according to them. And I'm like, why does it matter? Just pick up another team and go from there. I don't know. There's a lot of the information is fluid at this point. There's a lot coming in as well. But stay tuned. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that notification button, because we will be keeping an eye on this all day tomorrow and giving you full reaction to James Larson's announcement and anything else that does come out about the UFL and the future of the league. We'll see you back here on the flip side. Have a great one, everyone.